there are four foundations of mindfulness. And when we say four foundations, we mean four areas in which we can practice mindfulness. The first one is the body, mindfulness of the body. And within that is mindfulness of breath, which is what we're going to practice today. And then there's mindfulness of feeling tone, whether something is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. We'll speak about it next week. And then mindfulness of heart and mind, so the emotions and the mind states, what's going on. And the last one is the nature of experience. How does experience, arise and pass? And this is a little bit more advanced in the exploration. So the first pillar is mindfulness of the body. And it's also a practice we call the practice of embodied awareness, which sounds very fancy, but basically it's about how to be present with the body and how to meet whatever arises in the body with awareness and kindness. Remember the two wings of the bird of mindfulness, the awareness and the kindness, to notice what's there and how we can be with it. So I have one question for you to start with, and you can just write it in the chat. Where do you feel the most embodied? Where do you embody physicality best? You can write it or just think about it. I know that for me, it's when I am walking in nature, when I'm in nature, already connected to my body. And for some people, it's dancing. Some people, it's loving. Some people, it's eating. Some people, it's napping. All different activities. But it's important to ask yourself that question because it helps you remember how it feels to be connected to your body. And we usually say that mindfulness is really a practice that we forget and we remember. It is the practice of forgetting and remembering that we are this body and this mind and in the present moment. And why is it important to speak about all this, about this topic that is mindfulness of the body? It's because the body is often left behind in today's world, which is very intellectual, right? And we are animals, actually. We are living a bodily experience, but we are becoming more and more of a disembodied species, especially living indoors, being on the laptop all day working. We tend to live in the head, and we tend to look down at the body like it's some sort of device we're operating, like some sort of robot we're controlling that should work in a specific way. Like it shouldn't break down, it shouldn't age. It should stay exactly the same. And then we're surprised when that doesn't happen. And you can ask yourself right now, what attitude towards your body do you have? Is it a performance object? Is it a servant? Is it something to care for, to cherish? Is it even an enemy sometimes, or a friend that you look at with curiosity and openness? And there's this quote I really love from the poet Eduardo Galeano, and he writes, "The church says the body is a sin. Science says the body is a machine. Advertising says the body is a business. And the body says, I am a fiesta." I love it. That's what the body is, this field of sensations where everything is happening. When you think about it, even if we're talking about an emotion, we feel it in the body. So it's this theater that very often we just, put to the side and we stay stuck a little bit in our head. And there's nothing wrong with the mind, actually. There's nothing wrong with being heady and very intellectual. It just gets a little bit of a problem when we're stuck there and we're completely disconnected from the body. And that has a lot of consequences for physical well-being, our mental, emotional well-being. It creates a lot of stress and tension. I just have a little personal story about that, about what happens when we neglect the body. And that was, I think maybe 4 years ago when I was working in my last corporate job. And I was overworking. I was on the laptop the whole day and all the time just in my head, and anxious, ungrounded. I had trouble sleeping. And I would go for lunch. I would go to my lunch break. And 5 minutes later, I would realize I was done with my lunch, but I had no idea what I had been eating. Literally no idea. And I had tendonitis in my wrist and my forearms. It became so bad that I was like making sounds of pain when I would, press a letter on my keyboard. And still, I kept going, and I ignored my body. And my body was trying to tell me important things about what I needed, and I just, shut it down. And at some point, it was just too big to ignore. So I just quit, and I spent 1 year without a laptop. And really, that's where I started practicing mindfulness of the body, getting out of my head into the body and calming down, and paying attention to my breath and my posture, doing the kind of practice we did last week, the body scan, and really being with my body, whatever I was doing. And that was profoundly healing. It was deeply transformational. And it's something that one of my teachers and this wonderful author, Sebene Selassie, writes about. She writes, that's how it was with meditation. I read many books about meditation before I started actually practicing. For years, I meditated, not aware of my imbalanced predisposition to the mental. And then I learned to practice with the body. And meditating with the body opened me up to an entirely different sense of belonging, joy, and freedom. So there's no inner peace unless the body and the mind are in the same place at the same time. And the body is not just an object. It's really a flow of experience that is constantly changing. And that is how we can listen to our lives, not only just with our head intellectually, but really with all our cells, with our whole body. And it's really precious, because what's very precious about the body, actually, it's that it is only in the present moment, right? When the mind can go in the past and the future, your body, when you're feeling your body, it is grounding you into the present moment. So it's like an anchor into the present moment. And it's also a receptor, right? It can receive loving touch, relaxing massage. It's really always there, actually, right? Our body is always there. So if we're tuned to the body, we're always there as well. And that's a practice, because we live in an age where we tend to be overstimulated, right? A lot of stimulation outside, the news and the social media and the emails, and it goes so fast. And at the same time, we are under sensualized. So we're disconnected from the senses. And that's what we're doing here. We learn how to reconnect to our senses, to have greater ease and joy and freedom in our lives. And actually, neuroscience research also has shown that the only way to change the way we feel is by becoming aware of our inner experience. If we want to change how we feel, we first need to be aware of what exactly is happening inside us, so we can change it. And not change it as in, I want to get rid of it, but more, let me become friend with it. So maybe we can, help each other to become better people.